So let's get started then. So we're starting off with our 6x6 card base. I get these from The Works in the UK. I think they're about £2.50 for 10, and it is the superior quality ones. So there are two quality that you can get in The Works. You can get this quality in packs of 10, and you can also get the pack of 30 for £3.50, which if you're adding mats and layers, they're great, but they are a little flimsy in my opinion. But if you're adding toppers and inserts, then these are fine also. My preference is the higher quality ones. They're a lot thicker, far more sturdy. You don't have to add any toppers to make them really sturdy. So that's what we're going to use today. We're going to use a cream card, and we do have a matching envelope as well. First off, what we're going to do is we're going to do a floral design in pen and ink, and we are going to draw a wreath, and we're going to a floral wreath, and we're also going to add some faux calligraphy onto the card design. Today we're going to be adding the words thinking of you. And so we're going to get started. So first of all, you need something circular that is going to fit on the inside space of the card to draw around, to draw your circle. This is just a small snack jar, a snack bowl from Mason Cash. So I'm just going to draw around it with my pencil. So today you will need a pencil, an eraser, a ruler, and some fine liner pens. My preference are the Pigma Micron, if you can get the ones that have got a variety of nibs, so from 0.05 or 0.03 up until 8. You can get them up to 12, depending on how thick or thin you want your pens to actually draw. So I've got 0.05, which is 0.20 millimeters, up to 0.5 millimeters, which is the 0.81. And I find that this six pack is brilliant, and they're not very expensive. I think they were probably about £7, something like that, from TK Maxx in the UK. So that's quite a good place to purchase them. They were reduced. They should have been nearer to the £17 mark, I think. So watch out in TK Maxx. They've got some really good bargains on things like this: pens, papers, paints, all sorts of things. Anyway, centralize your circular. You can use a dish, a plate, a mug, whatever you want. Centralize it. Doesn't have to be bang on center, but roughly draw a circle in the middle, and then you are done with that. Try and go as light as you can. I'm a little bit heavy handed, but we are going to be erasing this circle at some point, so you will need to go as light as you can, otherwise you'll leave marks on the page. Next thing to do is to roughly divide this circle in half. That's the first thing, on the diagonal. So if you just aim your ruler for 2 points on the diagonal and try and get it roughly in the center, and just draw a line straight the way through. So this point, these 2 points that meet the circle on the circumference of the circle, I want you to draw a little circle where they meet, and then in this half of the circle you're going to add 3 more circles in roughly the same distance apart, and on this side of the circle you're just going to add 2 roughly the same distance apart. These are going to be the placements of your flowers in your floral wreath, and I always suggest that you do an odd number, because I think that always looks better if you have odd numbers when you're doing flowers and nature designs, and that's just my preference. You can do exactly what you want, but that's my preference. Now we've got our placements for the flowers, we're actually going to do the floral design, and you can do exactly what you want, but I'm going to teach you how to do a very simple design. It's just got 8 petals, and we're just going to basically do a cross through each of the circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 petals, sorry, and then we're basically just going to do loop-de-loops, and each for the stems is going to be a petal. So we've got 4 here. So each of those points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, there is 8, sorry. And we're just going to do loopy circles that capture, and that's it. So keep going all the way round. And it won't look much right now, but it will in the end, I promise. And I always say that when you're doing these designs, when you first start off, you think, oh, that's never going to turn into anything good. But it really does, honestly, just bear with it. So you've got your 8 points, you've got your circle in the middle, and you're just going to do loops around. Doesn't matter that they cross over each other. Doesn't matter that they're not perfect. Doesn't matter that they don't line up. We can make all the adjustments as we're moving along and doing you can rub some out, erase some out. We can actually just make the adjustments then. So it doesn't matter that it doesn't look great at first. It matters that you get the placements right, and it matters that you start doing these loopy flowers, and you can practice as many times as you want. They all don't have to match each other. None of them have to match. And you can do a different flower on each individual one if you want as well. You don't have to do the same. I like to do the same. I've got a funny thing about things being symmetrical and similar. That's what I quite like, because I like the uniformity of things, and I like that it has a repetitive nature, and I like that I'm practicing the same flower, so it's got its own little personality. So each flower is very similar to the next one. That's what I like. You can like what you like, and you can do them all different if that's what you choose. There we go. Okay, so once we've got to this point, we've got all of our flowers in place. What we are now going to do is start drawing some leaves to make the wreath join up and look like a wreath. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to start from any flower on any part of the page, and we're going to start at the top of a petal, and we're just going to draw a branch out, and then we're going to draw a branch the other way, and one the other way, and one the other way, and one the other way, and that's it. So it doesn't matter that it goes off the edge of the original circle that you've drawn. It matters that you just do branching off, branching off, branching off, branching off at alternate directions. And we move the card around and we start again on this one. So we go branching off, branching off, branching off, branching off, and branching off. And again on this one, you can start the other way this time, that way. And it doesn't matter how many you do, because as you know, we've got a different spacing in between the flowers. So it doesn't matter that you actually don't do the same amount of branches between the flowers. It is going to all marry up and look correct when you've finished. So this one's a nice long one. There we go. What have you guys been up to today? We've had every single bit of weather that you could possibly imagine in the UK here. Today it started a bit cold, but grey, but not raining. And then all of a sudden we had an absolute downpour. Then we had hailstones. And then straight after the hailstones, we had brilliant sunshine and blue skies. It was every single bit of weather you could possibly imagine, all in the space of a few hours. So it's been absolutely bizarre, the weather today in the UK. How has it been where you are? Where are you watching from today? Are you in the UK? What's the weather been like for you? we're heading towards Easter at the moment, so everything in the shops is all Easter focused. In TK Maxx today I saw some really lovely Martha Stewart. They look like speckled eggs. They were like in blues and duck egg blue and sky blue, like a grey blue, and they had like gold speckles all over them. They were really beautiful. I nearly bought them. They must have been about 24-30 in this tub. I thought, what am I going to do with those afterwards? They just look so pretty. I wanted them, but I didn't buy them. Left them for somebody else. So now we're up to this point. We've got our flowers and we've also got our branches, and now we're going to add some leaves on the ends of our branches. So we can do this in lots of different designs, but basically what I start off with doing is doing, you might want to do like a little heart type one. You might want to do one that's got a couple of petals, a couple of leaves. You might want to just do like a teardrop type one. Every single one can be completely different or exactly the same. Whichever way that you want to do it. They're your twigs, it's your wreath. You do it exactly as you want to. If you think it hasn't got enough, you can always add another one here. Any bits that look a bit spacey, just add more in. I always think when you're doing a repetitive sort of design and you do it in sequence like this, and I don't know how you feel, but for me I find that repetitive nature and just focusing entirely on what you're doing has quite a calming effect, and it's really soothing. And you know, I know the term mindfulness is quite used quite often, but I think that's quite an appropriate term when you're doing things like this, because you are just focusing entirely on this, nothing else comes into mind, and it's nice and quiet as well. You can have that quiet moment, and this is something that you can actually do, you know, while you're just sat watching TV and it's just on in the background, you know, or the kids are playing, and you know, you just want to have 5 minutes just to do a little bit of something for yourself while they're just playing. So yeah, I normally get a few of these where I've just drawn the circles already, and then plotted out my spaces for my flowers, and then only the circles, and then I just like take those to wherever I'm going or whatever I'm doing. If I'm in front of the TV, or you know, sometimes if we go on holiday I'll take some with me, and you can just draw your own little design just peacefully, and it's quite a nice thing to do. And sometimes I get inspired by flowers and plants that I've seen whilst I'm away as well, which is quite nice depending on different times of the year. This would probably be quite nice with some eggs or something in there, or maybe daffodils, if anybody could draw daffodils. That's probably not my forte. I'm better with the daisy type flowers, but daffodils would be nice. Eggs would be nice. as you can see, as I'm working around this wreath, I'm finding that I just need to add a little extra branch in, and that's okay. You can add as many branches as you want. Nothing is wrong in this design. It's yours. You make as many branches or as many flowers as you want. If you want to put more flowers than what I've put in, that is totally fine too. Just give it a go. And the thing is, if you make any mistakes, if you think you're not liking it, get your eraser, get rid of the design, start again. It's just a bit of pen and paper, or pencil and paper at the minute, you know. But what I would say is, even if you don't like it right now in its current state, persevere with it, because this isn't the end result. And like all of my cards, when I start out designing from the pencil and paper stage, I always look at it and think, oh, I really don't think that's going to work out. And then I persevere, and by the time that I've, you know, put all the ink on it, I've adjusted it to how I like, I've added the sentiment, and then all of a sudden it comes together and I think, do you know what, actually I really like that, and I've put the time and effort and thought into that, and that makes it extra special. And I really recommend that you do that. Don't just think it looks rubbish to start off with, and you know, you've not done a good enough job, or it's never going to turn out great, because just persevere with it, and I promise you it will work. It will get there. It just takes a bit of time, that's all. And you know, anything you really don't like, just get rid of it, rub it out, start again. Oh, there we go. We've got to the end already, and I hadn't even realised. I was concentrating on it so much and my mind was nice and calm, I hadn't realised we'd got to the end. So there we are. That is the final penciled in design. I'm going to put my pencil away now, and I'm going to start with my pens. So I'm going to start with a relatively fine one. I'm going to go with 02, and all I'm going to do is do exactly the same with the circles. So I'm going to just draw my circle in the middle, okay. Slightly different this time. I'm not going to do the full loopy flower. I'm just going to go over the outline, but not go on the inside of the circle that I've drawn here. So I am going to trace everything that I've done outside of the inner circle. And I'm just going to turn my page around every time that I draw another petal. Nearly lost you then. And as I'm completing my petals, I am just making slight adjustments to where I think I might have maybe not drawn my loopy flower quite well enough, and that's okay too. All this is about is just refining the image that you started with. And if you want to stay with the original image, if yours is good enough to start off with, that's totally fine. What I might do is just slightly about the image. I'm quite heavy-handed. I'm sure you're a lot lighter-handed than me. But sometimes, because I am heavy-handed, it's harder to see the pen lines. So if you're like me, just give yourself a bit of a break. Just rub out some of the lines a little bit. If you haven't seen any of my other videos, I do have two other videos in this sequence. So one of the cards actually that I did on my previous video was this one, where we focused on just one central design flower, and then we used the faux calligraphy to write happy birthday. I also have made a card where we just draw in faux calligraphy a full name and a floral design around that. And then this is the third in the series, so this Floral Wreath is the third in the series of floral line art design with using faux calligraphy. Why not have a look at my other videos next time? I'd love to see you join me on the next video. And in fact, I'd really like to see what you've created. Right, there we go. That's all of our flowers done. So I'm going to start on the leaves and twigs and branches in between the floral design now. And again, just move your card around. It makes it a little bit easier to draw the design. If you move your card. Just erasing a little bit so I can actually see my pen marks a little bit better. That's it. So now we've finished inking out our design, I'm just going to erase everything away, all the pencil marks, so we're just left with the ink on the page. As you're doing this, all your image becomes really lovely and clear, and I love this part of revealing, because although you can see the design, having all of the pencil marks behind just make it look a little bit messy. And then when you clean it all up, take all your pencil marks away, you get to see finished design. Oh, and I've missed a little bit, so that was good. I can pick that bit up. Don't forget that diagonal line that we did originally. Get rid of the bits. Okay, just missed a tiny little bit, which I will just fill in here. Ooh, pen, 8, 2. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to accentuate some of the lines, just to make sure that they're well defined. So I always just do a little bit thicker at the start of the design and taper it out. I am using a number 5, but I'm going to try and drop this to a number 3 because I think it is just a little bit thick. Yep, that's better. So basically you just want to taper out the design, the line, so you've got a little bit thicker at the bottom and it goes thinner towards the top. You don't have to do this, but I think it always looks quite effective when you do it. And the same for your leaves. So the twigs I always start a little bit thicker. It tapers off towards the top. So I'm just going to complete the rest of it. You don't have to sit and watch me do it. You enjoy your part and I will just come back to you with the finished result in a moment. So here we are. I've now completely inked in my design, as you can see. Hope yours is looking just as good. So now we're just going to add some extra design elements to this card. So first of all, on all of the petals, I'm using a fine nib, so I'm going to use a 0.5 or a 1, if you've got a 1 maybe. I'm going to use a 0.5, and in each of the petals I'm just going to draw some striations on the petals. If you continue on every single petal, add 2 or 3 little lines on each of the petals there, and then in the center of the petals all I want you to do is add some dots, many or as few as you want. Just fill that circular space in with dots and repeat all the way around. I'm going to come back to you in a moment when I've completed mine. Okay, so I've now completed all the markings on my flowers, and I'm ready to start adding the sentiment. Make sure you check which way that your card is going to go, whether you're going to have it like that or like that. Make sure your opening is correct. So we're going to use a spacing of 0.5 centimeters, and we are going to do 6 centimeters in total through the center of the card. So you can actually just roughly draw in a center mark. Ooh, help if I have the pencil out. Nice and light. And then in the center, roughly. We are then going to mark up roughly about center. So we're then going to mark the 0 and the 6, and then every 0.5 centimeter in between. Okay, so then we're going to mark up 1, 2, 3, 4. Which is 2 centimeters up. Draw a horizontal line. Centimeters up, another horizontal line, and 2 centimeters down, another horizontal line. So basically we're going to write the sentiment thinking of you. and I'm just going to start drafting out my sentiment, and I'm going to start with the of you, and basically all I start to do is just do a slightly stylized version of my own handwriting. First of all, that's my starting point. So I always take my pencil off the page, because with handwriting you're always continually writing the words, but make sure that you take your pencil off the page. That's my of, and then I'm going to write my O. Slightly off. I'm going to try and copy the one I did up above. So then I'm going to go into the U. I'm going to do my Y here. Go off you, yeah. I'm going to start with my K here. Straight into my I. Then my G, and then my T. I'm going to do a really stylized T, down like that, and then this one is going to go up like that. I'm going to do my H, I, N, into my K. Yeah, lovely. Really like that. What I like to do is where my letters tail off, I like to join them into my design. So all I'm going to do now is grab my 0.05 pen, and I'm going to start drawing this in ink, because I'm happy with that sentiment. Lovely, happy with that. I'm going to do then is get my Daler-Rowney black ink, simply double tip markers. These I got from TK Maxx in a pack of 24. They were $7.99 I think, which is a really good price, and they're double tipped markers. So these ones have they're not quite a brush tip, but they are a thicker and they're slightly flexible end and a finer end, which is 1mm. I'm not quite sure how big the large end, but the smaller tip is 1mm, and you get a whole variety of colours, as you can see there, which is ideal for florals actually, because there's lots of really pretty paler colours. But today we're just going to use the black. All I do is use the 1mm pen, and every downstroke that I made, I'm going to make a thick line. So for example here, and it doesn't have to quite match, but I'm just going to draw a thick line where the T goes down, and then we went up with the H, and then we went down, and we went up and down, and up and down, and up and down, and up and down, and up and down. Yes, that's right. And then I went up and down, down, up and down, up and down, up and down, up, down, down. Right, it doesn't look great right now, but it will, don't worry. So then we went down, up and down, up and down, and I always recite this to myself because I do forget, and then I end up doing the wrong part and think, oh no, I didn't mean to do it like that. So I just teach myself to do it this way because it's easier, and then I don't forget. So down, down, up, down, 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 and that's it. So that's it with that part. This marker can go away. All you need to get out then is probably about your number 2, I would say. Yeah, number 2 will do. I'm just going to change my glasses for this because I can see a little bit better with my readers on. What you're going to do now is you're just going to make sure that any bits that don't quite join up, you fill in. And you finish the ends off nicely. And you can just take a moment to just refine any little bits that you think you haven't quite done properly, or you've just gone a little bit off the mark. And don't forget, this is faux calligraphy. We're not trying to really copy the art form of calligraphy. We're just doing a style that is vaguely similar and has a similar sort of effect, and does follow some of the principles. So the downward stroke is always thicker than the upward stroke. You take your pen off the page, and so on. But we are using our own handwriting as a guide to start us off. So actually it is more stylized to our own individual writing style, and I think that's the beauty of it as well, that you don't have to be somebody who is technically skilled at calligraphy to create something that is beautiful, and somebody else will appreciate, and you'll appreciate yourself also, because I know when I've finished a card, I always think, oh, I really enjoyed doing that, but actually I like looking at it and knowing that I did that, I created that with my own writing, took a bit of time and patience and effort, and that's a really good result, and I'm proud of it. So, and I know that you will be too, and it might take you a few times to get there, but please just persevere, do a bit of practicing, you know, before you actually do your first card, do some practice card first of all, and give it or graph paper. I always do things on graph paper if I'm not quite sure how I want to space things out first of all, and always do everything in pencil first, because you can refine your design several times over before you get to that point where you think, yeah, I really like that. So we're just going to, again, just remove any of our guidelines that we drew. So our central guidelines, our 2 centimeter spaces, any of the pencil marks from our Faux Calligraphy, those are all going. And in a minute you will see the design in all its glory. We've only got one last thing left to do. So here we are. This is almost the final result. So as you can see, the handwriting, the faux calligraphy, I think it looks superb. It looks really striking. It fits the theme of the card. It fits within the wreath. And I think personally I'm happy with it. It's my design and how I like it, but I'm really happy with what I've achieved there. Just for some final tiny little flourishes, get one of your markers, maybe a size 2 or whatever your size you want, and all I do really is go round this card and I will just do some little whimsical dots, usually in 3s, and I don't know, this just adds a little bit of interest and makes it look like it isn't just lines on a card, it's a design. I don't know how it does it, honestly it does though, it makes such a difference. It doesn't have to be every single one, you can skip a couple. Here, that is the final design. It's probably taken me, I know I've gone explaining to you, and I've demonstrated, I've come off camera and I've done the outlining of the flowers, and I would say this has probably taken me about 20 minutes, and if I were to do this without talking I could probably concentrate quite quickly and get this done in 15-20 minutes. And to make a beautiful card for somebody from scratch in your own unique personal style, and it to come out looking professional and look like something that you would like to receive, I think that's not a bad job in 20 minutes. So I hope you enjoyed it. This is issue 3 of the faux calligraphy and floral line art designs that I am showing you and giving demonstrations on. Like I say, I do have 2 other videos of a similar sort of nature, and like I showed you earlier, this is the previous design with just having one floral focal point in the centre of the card, and then your faux calligraphy sentiment at the bottom. And this is the floral wreath that we've done today, and I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you will join me again for the next one in a week or 2. Thank you. Bye bye.